Trapped at my sister's wedding. 10 limos arrived to reveal an amazing and unexpected surprise. As the sun dipped lower in the sky, Sarah gripped the steering wheel of her tired Honda Civic, heat rising from her brow. She glanced anxiously at the clock. Traffic in Toledo was a blockade, and the ceremony was set to start any minute. This wasn't just any wedding. It was Lily's wedding, the one everyone was talking about, with luxury limos and extravagant decorations. As she sat in the gridlock, a swell of emotions throbbed in her chest. Why did everything seem so easy for her sister? With a slew of students' loans weighing down her dreams, Sarah felt like an imposter, rushing to an event she couldn't fully belong to. Fueled by her insecurities, her thoughts spiraled. Grocery lists and stethoscopes collided with flashes of Lily's sparkling engagement ring, and the lavish life she led. How did her sister make it look so effortless while Sarah struggled through her shifts at the hospital, pushing medical carts and navigating her own self-doubt? The glittering venue loomed in the distance, a fortress of wealth and privilege, and Sarah felt smaller and more insignificant by the second. When she finally parked, disembarking into a scene straight out of a magazine, unease washed over her. The ornate hall, filled with laughter that echoed off crystal chandeliers, left her feeling like a shadow lurking backstage. Conversations in hushed tones drifted by, each name and brand reminding her of the disparities between her life and Lily's. The weight of her choices, nursing, student debt, stagnant aspiration, pressed heavily on her. What did success even mean? Just as her unease reached its peak, the entrance exploded. 10 luxury limousines glided onto the scene, turning heads and dropping jaws. Mystery poured out in waves as guests emerged, laden with stories and histories Sarah could only dream of. Among them was Dr. Reynolds, her former professor, whose approving nod once ignited her passion for biology. She stood immobilized as memories surged. Had she really forsaken her dreams for stability? Eavesdropping on his conversations about research that involved saving lives made her heart race with a familiar yearning. Could she still chase the dreams she set aside? But then her grandfather stepped out, a familiar gruff silhouette, shocking Sarah back to reality. The unhealed rift between them screamed with each breath. He had vanished from their lives years ago, granted an inheritance, an old family farm, rich with history. Torn between dreams and family, Sarah's pulse quickened. The idea of reconnecting to not just her roots but her identity was tantalizing. Was this her escape from mediocrity, or merely a distraction from the wedding unfolding before her? Before she could process it all, a tension built like a thunderstorm in the air. The smile on Lily's face, bright and blinding, felt like another wall between them, one that anger and jealousy laid brick by brick. They hadn't truly resolved their past wounds, or the weight of expectations that had forged their paths. What if this proverbial wealth, steeped in history, drove a wedge between them? What if ambition could cost her the only family bond left? Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. With emotions spiraling and the end of the night looming, Sarah stood straddling two worlds, one of loyalty and family, the other of ambition and dreams. Each choice loomed like the looming night sky, oppressive and darkening. Would the inheritance tear her and Lily apart, or could it bind them in a newfound understanding? As the celebration shifted around her, the stakes felt higher than ever. In the chaos of surprising arrivals and escalated emotions, Sarah stood at a crossroads, her heart racing, faced with monumental choices she wasn't ready to confront. The music blared, mingling with the jubilant cheers of guests. Yet Sarah felt isolated in a tempest of thoughts that clamored for attention. She observed her sister, resplendent in white, as Lily spun gracefully in her gown, the epitome of every fairy tale she had ever known. That was it, wasn't it? Lily represented that perfect, untouchable dream, someone who appeared to have mastered the art of life, while Sarah struggled just to catch up, shoving her rising feelings down with each passing second. Sarah made her way through the throngs of well-dressed guests. The humid air felt thick with anxiety. It caught in her throat as memories of her childhood flooded her mind, reminding her of the competing siblings gifted with the same combination of dreams, but creating divergent paths. Sarah's youthful aspirations to become a doctor had diminished into a job that barely paid the bills. While Lily's world sparkled with certainty, she spotted Dr. Reynolds across the room, discussing scientific advances with an air of authority that commanded respect. Sarah's heart fluttered with recognition. He was the one who had once ignited a fire in her belly, the one who believed she could change the world. But here, in this hall of celebration, that aspiration felt trivialized. Blurring the lines of her past dreams felt like withdrawing validity from a long-lost identity. Turning abruptly, Sarah made a beeline for the restroom, needing to escape the confounding mix of emotions. Behind the closed door, she splashed cold water on her face, attempting to wash away self-doubt. In the mirror, she stared at her reflection, surprised by the fierceness she found within her own gaze. Perhaps it wasn't too late. The inkling of pursuing something again, reigniting the passion that lay dormant within her since nursing school, began to take root. As she leaned against the cool porcelain sink, she considered the land her grandfather had inherited, the one tied to memories of their family's history. Was it merely a relic of the past, or could it serve as fertile ground for her aspirations? The thought sent shivers down her spine. Reclaiming that piece of her heritage felt like wielding a power she had thought long gone. Returning to the festivities, Sarah sought comfort in the familiar. She approached her grandfather, carrying trepidation like an unwelcomed guest. Perhaps this was the moment to bridge the chasm that had formed over the years. Her heart thudded with each step as she gathered the courage to approach him, wedged between regret and hope. "Grandpa," she started, voice wavering slightly, pulling him from a conversation with a distant relative. His brow furrowed, surprising Sarah with the warmth of his gaze, meeting hers a flicker of recognition, maybe even acknowledgement. "Sarah," he responded, a ghost of a smile flickering across his face. "Haven't seen you in ages." There was a pause, heavy with expectation and unspoken words. Sarah's mind raced through the myriad thoughts battling for her attention. The farm, her ambitions, her unresolved pain. Should she grasp this moment to confront the distance? The urge to spit out her feelings battled against her conditioning to stay quiet. "I've been thinking about everything," Sarah finally said, her voice firmer now. "About the farm and us." For the first time she saw him sizing her up, intrigued and slightly caught off guard. In that instant, she felt a reawakening of plans long neglected. The weight of expectations began to lift, replaced with the prospect of something more fulfilling than she had dared to consider. But before she could gather her thoughts any further, Lily's laughter rang out, pulling Sarah back to her sister's world. The fairy tale wasn't entirely out of reach. It simply needed to be redefined. The legacy of nursing she held onto could intertwine with her family's heritage, shaping her future. As she turned to catch another glimpse of Lily, Sarah's heart raced. What did it mean to reconcile ambition with family? Was she ready to redefine both her past and her future within this unfamiliar space? The questions hung heavy like unpicked fruit, and the answer felt tantalizingly close, yet just out of reach. The night was far from over, and Sarah stood on the precipice of making a decision that could alter everything. But just as she contemplated her next steps, the strains of music shifted, and an unexpected announcement crackled through the speakers. "We have a surprise for our guests. A special revelation about the farm." In that moment, Sarah's pulse quickened anew, and the stakes climbed ever higher. Would this revelation open doors or deepen the rift she feared? The uncertainty loomed larger than ever, inviting her into the fray with defiance pulsing in her veins. The surprise echoed in the hall, drawing the crowd's shifting energy toward the stage. It seemed as if the entire room leaned in, curiosity piqued and excitement crackling in the air. Sarah felt the weight of anticipation pressing against her chest. Her breath quickened as she wrestled with the question that formed in the back of her mind. What could possibly await them regarding the family farm? "Sarah!" Her grandfather called, directing her attention back to him. He wore a mix of pride and concern on his weathered face. "You heard that, right? It isn't just the crops we've tended for generations, there's much more there. We have legacies to preserve and futures to consider." His words bore a deeper significance now, igniting something in her spirit, but mingling desperation and dread knocked at her resolve. The room around them was alive, drunk with celebration and uncertainty, while she stood firm in her newfound determination to reclaim a narrative she once thought lost. "What do you mean?" Sarah asked, wanting to take the plunge, wanting him to peel back the layers of mystery surrounding the farm. "Well, it's about time we explored new possibilities integrating old traditions with modern solutions. I'm not getting any younger, and the land isn't as productive as it used to be." His gaze searched hers, seeking her response, and she sensed that he wanted to hand the reins over before the years removed him from the picture entirely. The hall erupted in applause as the speaker on the stage began to outline plans for the farm's transformation, a community-centric agricultural project focused on sustainability, preserving their family's legacy while attracting new investors and ideas. It was a hybrid of ambition and nostalgia, a connection between the past and a zip of hope for tomorrow. Sarah's heart raced not with fear, but with a cascade of burgeoning excitement. This was a chance to dance in tandem with dreams long suppressed. She imagined herself at the center of this initiative, collaborating with the community she had distanced herself from for so long. Could she merge the knowledge gained in nursing with agricultural care? Her composure began to solidify as the possibilities unfolded, but then doubt intruded, whispering the firmly held belief that her sister would naturally shine in this venture, as well the atrophy of competition creeping back into her mind. What if Lily outshone her again, effortlessly stepping into the light while she lingered in the shadows? The music swelled once more, distracting her from the maelstrom inside. Each note felt like an invitation to step forward, to discard those doubts and claim her place. "I want to be involved," Sarah blurted out, the sound rushing out before she could alter her course. Different from the shrinkage of her dreams before, this was a declaration, a commitment. The overwhelming need to rewrite her identity transformed into a resolve to embrace the unknown. "Good. I was hoping you'd say that," her grandfather replied, clearly pleased. "This won't be easy, but with your background, we need someone like you to help breathe new life into these fields." The unresolved tension swelled, promising change, threatening to coil around her ambitions. Yet, a sense of control settled over Sarah like a warm blanket against the chill of uncertainty. But just then, as she contemplated the road ahead in her evolving role, a voice rang out from the crowd. "And while we celebrate, let us also recognize an unsung hero, the next generation of our family." Lily stepped forward confidently, clad in her magnificent gown, commanding attention effortlessly. The crowd roared with approval, but Sarah felt the sudden, piercing chill of insecurity cutting through her. What if this was another moment where she was shadowed by her sister's brilliance? As the spotlight shifted, Sarah knew she needed to confront the mounting sense of competition between them. Would they build a future together? Or would she continue to falter in someone else's radiance? The remaining rhythm of the evening echoed the rhythm of her own heart, each beat a reminder of the arduous journey ahead. As she cast a sideways glance toward Lily, a determination surged within her. This was her moment to seize not just a new narrative, but a space firmly rooted in her own capabilities. Confrontation lurked just beneath the surface, and Sarah breathed in the implications of everything yet to unfold. The questions screamed in her mind, driving her closer to a choice that would resonate across both family legacy and personal growth. "Now," she murmured to herself, gazing defiantly at the stage, "the time has come to face what really lies ahead." The next morning light filtered gently through the kitchen window, illuminating dust motes dancing lazily in the air. Sarah sat at the table with her coffee, its warmth juxtaposed against the whirlwind of emotions from the previous night. A calm, steady brewing in her chest attempted to drown out the residue of doubt lingering from Lily's moment in the spotlight. As she sipped, the smell of fresh biscuits enveloped the space, yet they did little to fill her stomach. Instead, her thoughts buzzed incessantly, pinging back to her grandfather's words about the farm. There was weight behind those intentions, the fleeting connections of the past, woes mingling with hopes, all tangled up in the rich earth they tilled. The idea of transforming the family farm was daunting but exhilarating. Sarah set her cup down and grabbed the notebook she'd scribbled in on restless nights. It was more than a collection of ideas. It had morphed into a dream board: strategies to merge her nursing background with agriculture, ways to implement wellness into farming practices, and possible projects that could rekindle interest in their land. It was time to structure thoughts into actionable concepts. Diving back into her memories, She recalled the stories her grandfather had shared about the land, the way it fed not just their family, but the local community, the values wrapped into every harvest. She couldn't ignore those connections, for they now sparked something greater within her. Could she truly shape a version of the farm that embraced both its heritage and a promising future? The mixed sensations of excitement and trepidation surged again, but now they felt more like an electric current of potential. Determined, Sarah flipped through the pages, her mind whirring. As she crafted each idea, her thoughts pivoted to Lily. Envy twisted into a question. How could they both shine without overshadowing one another? Thoughts of collaboration crept back in, a reminder of their shared history. Their strengths could complement. What if they worked together rather than against each other? Her pen moved swiftly across the page, sketching out a plan that included Lily, one that didn't relegate her sibling to a subordinate position. Compromise had often eluded them in the past. Maybe that was the layer of conflict she needed to dispel. If they tackled this challenge shoulder to shoulder, could they perhaps redefine what it meant to be both sisters and partners? Just as she began to feel a flicker of hope, another thought pricked her mind. Would their parents support the change? Would their traditional views on inheriting and running the farm clash with the progressive views she was formulating? It dawned on her that convincing the family would be essential in steering this ship, but it was also fraught with the dangers of family dynamics. A knock on the door interrupted her thoughts, and Sarah opened it to reveal her grandfather standing there, his hat in hand. His eyes glimmered with renewed purpose. Thought I'd see how you're feeling about everything. You've got an idea brewing, don't you? As they maneuvered through a discussion about the farm's transformation, sparkling with fresh strategies, it became apparent that this was more than just a shift in operations, it was a shift in their family's legacy. Boldness curled through her, entwined with a newfound responsibility. Sarah was ready to anchor her beliefs and carve a path, yet the anxiety surrounding Lily's imminent presence loomed in the periphery. Grandpa, we need to talk to Lily soon. If we're going to do this, we need to be a team. He regarded her thoughtfully, an amused smile creeping across his weathered face. I knew you had it in you. But remember, navigating family is just as much a part of this as the farming. Her heart raced at the implication. This wasn't just about restructuring the land. It was about reconstructing relationships, the most intricate endeavor of all. As they plotted their first steps toward transforming the farm, the broadening rift between her and Lily loomed ever larger. Yet, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that resolution lay just beyond the horizon. In that moment, anticipation surged within her. What lay ahead was not just dependent on her plans. It was entangled with conversations yet to unfold. Would they unite in purpose or unravel in rivalry? With each decision, her path would take shape and there was no turning back. Now Sarah thought, steeling herself for what it means to face not just the future, but also her sister. A few days passed, each one steeped in nervous anticipation. Sarah found herself strategizing late into the night, poring over her notebook in a desperate attempt to align her vision for the farm with a tangible plan. The mixed sense of earth and inspiration lingered in her small workspace, the juxtaposition a constant reminder of her dual focus, honoring the past while embracing what lay ahead. The day of their family meeting arrived, and Sarah stood by the kitchen window, nervously watching the horizon. The sun crested, illuminating the soft green fields that spread like a heartbeat, thumping beneath her. Was she foolhardy to rewrite their family's narrative? Her thoughts raced, an unsettling cocktail of resolve and uncertainty. This was not just business. It was familial territory that had not always been welcoming. Doubts clawed at her confidence. What if Lily dismissed her ideas altogether? Sarah's mind replayed their past conflicts, the sudden eruptions, unspoken frustrations, vicious cycles of competition. The thought of going into battle unprepared made her stomach twist. Focus on collaboration, she whispered to herself, suddenly determined to turn her anxiety into proactive strategy. She took a deep breath, steadying her resolve. If managing the farm was going to involve navigating the intricacies of sisterhood, she had to step into the discussion both as a visionary and a peacemaker. When the doorbell rang, her heart leapt into her throat. It was time. She opened the door to find her grandfather and Lily standing there, expressions mirrored with uncertainty. Hey, let us do this, Lily said with a weak smile that did little to mask her apprehension. We need to talk, Sarah stated, her voice stronger than she felt. Leading them to the kitchen table, She noted their wary glances and well-trodden patterns of behavior. Your ideas about changing the farm, we owe it to the legacy, her grandfather began, still sporting that discerning smile that had always given her hope. But it's vital to hear what you both envision for us moving forward. With her hands trembling, Sarah unfurled the plan she had meticulously drafted. It was a tapestry of her aspirations interwoven with practical strategies, wellness programs, community partnerships, educational workshops. She filled the table with not just facts but her heart. Lily listened intently, yet her expression was inscrutable. The air was thick with tension as Sarah concluded. Together, we can leverage both our backgrounds, yours in business and mine in nursing, to create something unique. There was a pause and Sarah felt every second stretch unbearably. It sounds ambitious, Lily finally said, a defensive edge woven into her voice. But what do you know about running a business? This isn't just a project. It's my livelihood too. Which is why we need to combine our skills, Sarah shot back, feeling her pulse quicken. If we don't address this together now, we'll never move forward. And I refuse to let the farm die with us. A silence settled, heavy with the weight of history and expectation. Her grandfather adjusted his glasses, deep in thought, and Sarah seized the moment. We can be a team instead of rivals. We can redefine our future by embracing each other as strengths. At that moment, Sarah observed something shifting in Lily, a flicker of acknowledgement, perhaps even intrigue. I've always believed I could handle everything myself, Lily admitted, the vulnerability startling to hear. I never realized that my approach might be limiting us both. Maybe we've both been focusing too much on the individual, Sarah replied, her heart swelling with hope. It's about trust and learning. If you share your business knowledge, I can develop the health programs. Together we can breathe life back into the farm. All right, Lily said, her voice quieter now, betraying a newfound willingness. Let us try it your way. As they discussed specifics, the remnants of their rivalry began to fade. But even amidst innovative ideas and potential growth, an unsettling doubt crept in. What if this budding partnership unraveled once again? In that flickering moment, they began to embrace a future together. But Sarah remained acutely aware of the fragility surrounding their commitment. Would the shadows of their past threaten the fragile foundation they were building, or had they finally turned a corner? An unexpected sensation crescendoed inside her. Anticipation merged with a lingering fear of failure as the meeting came to an end. Tonight would be pivotal, but as they all prepared to leave, Sarah felt a tremor of instinct. Before we go, I need a final gesture, she said, her voice unwavering. Let us shake on it, a commitment to moving forward as sisters, not just business partners. As they sealed the agreement with a firm handshake, Sarah knew it was only the first step. A single thought flickered at the back of her mind. This fragile alliance was just the beginning. But as she faced the horizon once more, there was movement in the unseen, the whisper of impending trials, the specter of old habits that refused to die easily, waiting on the precipice. What lay ahead could either break them or forge a bond stronger than she had imagined. How could she prepare for the inevitable tests that awaited them both? The days that followed were a symphony of innovation and tension. As Sarah dug deeper into her role, an undeniable urgency pulsed through her veins. The farm buzzed with the promise of change. The prospect of a new beginning filled her with resolve. Yet, with every fresh idea came old echoes of discord. Would they transcend their history, or would it ensnare them once more? Lily's participation felt like a tightly wound spring, uncertain yet potent. Each brainstorming session was a roller coaster of optimism and frustration. While Sarah thrived on the creative energy, she also sensed Lily's apprehension. The scars of past conflicts lingered in the air, an invisible barrier that often dulled their collaboration. Let us finalize those schedules for the wellness workshops, Sarah urged one afternoon, her voice poised yet anxious, aware that every suggestion bore the weight of scrutiny. Okay, but how do you plan to attract participants? Lily replied, the challenge slipping from her lips like a guillotine. I've been researching local trends and health initiatives. We can promote via social media and partner with local health practitioners, Sarah countered, feeling a surge of conviction. Social media? You think those influencers will care about a farm getting back on its feet? Sarah's heart sank. They might if we tell a compelling story. Their exchanges simmered with intensity, tension clawing at them, pushing Sarah to confront something deeper. What if Lily's skepticism stemmed from a more profound fear of inadequacy? The thought gnawed at Sarah, a knot tightening in her stomach. Perhaps both sisters felt like mere shadows of who they once were, terrified to emerge in full light. That night, Sarah couldn't shake the sense of looming confrontation. Missing the connection they had once shared, she mustered her courage, deciding to broach the topic. Can we talk about our approaches? She ventured hesitantly. I feel like I'm often met with resistance. Lily looked at her, guarded yet vulnerable. It's just I can't afford to fail again. I've carried this farm on my back for too long. For a moment the walls felt porous. Honesty seeped through. Sarah leaned in. I understand that weight. Feel it too. And yet you were so sure about shaking hands as if it could fix everything. Lily shot back, though the bite in her voice softened. I didn't think it would fix everything, Sarah replied, matching her tone carefully. But it was a step. I need you to see me as a partner, not just an idea. Silence enveloped them, the air thick with everything left unsaid. Sarah's resolve hardened. If they were to move forward, they needed to confront their fears, their expectations, and their inescapable ties. In the flicker of a candlelight, a plan began to form. What if we had an open forum? A community meeting where we can present our vision? She proposed, her voice gaining momentum. We can invite feedback, spark engagement. It could be our first public act together. Lily's brow furrowed. Publicly? That might expose us. What if they don't respond well? That's exactly it. We can't stay hidden behind the farm's legacy or our past grievances. We have to show our faces, our commitment. Fine, but I need to run the logistics, Lily conceded. Yet her voice held a hint of apprehension. As their conversation flowed, powered by shared ambitions, Sarah felt a surge of lightness. But doubt lingered like a shadow where the truth lay uncrossed. Could their effort to engage the community break their chains? Or would it resurrect deeper fears? With plans in motion, her heart buzzed with anticipation but was twisted with the weight of uncertainty. As the day of the forum approached, the haunting question loomed. What hidden truths would emerge when they brought their fragile partnership into the glaring light of public scrutiny? And were they truly ready for the confrontation that awaited? The moment of vulnerability drew near, and Sarah seized the urgency. This was not merely a test of their vision but a crucible for their sisterly bond. Would they rise together, or would the echoes of their past threaten to rip them apart once again? As the day of the forum loomed closer, anxiety threaded its way through Sarah's thoughts, twisting her eagerness into tight knots of uncertainty. Each morning brought another sun-kissed dawn that promised potential, yet mixed with that eternal glimmer was the dark cloud of what might come. Could their partnership withstand the scrutiny of their neighbors? The stakes felt impossibly high. In the days leading to the event, Sarah found solace in preparing her thoughts. She spent hours crafting a speech that could encapsulate their vision, a harmonious blend of tradition and innovation for the farm. She imagined each word dancing elegantly in the space between her and the audience, igniting sparks of connection. Yet self-doubt crept in, whispering that perhaps her voice was too small to resonate. Her fingers hovered over her notes, fearing the notes may drown her before she could even begin. Lily was an enigma amid this emotional whirlwind. Sarah observed her sister meticulously working on logistics, shifting numbers in spreadsheets, and coordinating with vendors, yet a veil of tension clouded her movements. It was as if they both existed in separate realms, one dedicated to nurturing ideals while the other grappled with hard realities. How could they bridge that chasm? Let us practice together, Sarah suggested one evening as they set up chairs in the barn, repurposing the space for their opening act. Lily glanced up, hesitating. What if it doesn't go well? That question sliced deeper than Sarah anticipated. But what if it does? She stepped closer, locking eyes with Lily. A moment of failure isn't the end. Could propel us forward. Lily shifted her weight, a flicker of distress passing over her features. You make it sound so simple. What if we reveal too much and it falls apart? It won't crumble if we stand together, Sarah urged, her voice firm yet gentle. We are building something new, not dragging the past along. Realization flickered in Lily's eyes, a recognition that together they were both vulnerable and strong. There, for a brief moment, they were not just sisters burdened by failure but partners sharing ambition. As they rehearsed, Sarah discovered a talent for storytelling she hadn't recognized before. Words flowed and rhythmic patterns emerged. Lily picked up on nuances, gesturing emphatically when she resonated with an idea. This exchange transformed their conversations into a choreography of ideas, each step forward illuminating shared vulnerabilities and aspirations. Yet, even amidst this newfound harmony, Sarah grappled with deeper fears. What if their initial success unraveled into chaos as the expectations grew? The sense that vulnerability could easily morph into exposure haunted her. The night before the forum, Sarah couldn't sleep. Thoughts swirled incessantly in her mind, a cacophony of past failures, present expectations, and future aspirations. She found herself standing in the moonlight, gazing over the farm, still steeped in shadows of its former glory. Breathing in the cool night air, she tried to anchor herself to the moment. This farm wasn't just a legacy. It was a testament to their resilience, and it needed them to embrace that complexity publicly. They were not just presenting the farm, they were bearing their souls. Determined, she returned inside, ready to ignite conviction from her fears. She scribbled a new line across her notes: "Our story is a work in progress." It felt raw, but a lightness washed over her. This wasn't merely about winning over a community. It was about reclaiming their narrative. As dawn broke, casting a golden hue over the land, both sisters stood side by side, the planned forum swirling around them like the air before a storm. In the crucible of vulnerability and exposure lay the potential for growth. But who would emerge from that storm? The flicker in the distance, amplified by the faint hum of eager voices gathering at the farm entrance, foretold that their past would soon collide with their aspirations. Would they stand united, or would their journey shatter beneath the weight of expectation? That truth awaited them at the end of this uncertain road. The moment arrived. A wave of voices surged as the gathering crowd filled the barn, buzzing with anticipation. Sarah felt as though a heavy curtain had been raised, unveiling the bright stage of their ambitions. Yet she remained cloaked in uncertainty. Each smile from the neighbors felt like a spotlight, illuminating her insecurities while glossing over their vulnerabilities. She glanced at Lily, who stood at the edge of the crowd, organizing seating charts and adjusting microphones, a master architect of the evening's logistics. But in Sarah's eyes, Lily's efforts seemed like a temporary fortress against the emotional tempest rising within both of them. They had transformed the barn into a sanctuary for their ideas, but now it felt like a confessional where their truths hung precariously in the air. "Where's your head at?" Lily's question cut through the cacophony of murmurs, grounding Sarah momentarily. "Just thinking about how far we've come," Sarah admitted, struggling to maintain her composure while focusing on the grander vision instead of the fear clawing at her. "You mean how far you've come," Lily corrected softly, a hint of pride in her tone that resonated deeper. Sarah had been hesitant to acknowledge her role in this journey, hiding in the safety of collective effort. As she turned to face the audience, she grasped the thought that somehow her narrative was equally vital, rooted in the farm's identity. This was a reclaiming of self-worth, a reflection that every challenge had shaped her understanding of resilience. The murmurs began to quiet down, drawing her focus back to the task at hand. She took a deep breath, steeling herself. They were meant to introduce their vision of the farm, not just its past but the multifaceted future they envisioned. Any echoes of uncertainty twisted within her resolve, igniting something deeper. As they ascended to the makeshift stage, every uncertainty folded into a competitive urge. Sarah felt an electrifying pulse of determination surge through her. It was not enough to display their story, she needed to embody it. "Thank you all for being here tonight," Sarah began, her voice rising above the rustling crowd. Yet inside, her heart raced, battling the storm of anxiety. "We are about to reveal more than just the future of this farm. We are sharing our journey, our triumphs, and yes, our failures. We hope to invite you not just to witness this change, but to be part of it." As the words flowed, she felt lighter, shedding layers of self-doubt. But a persistent shadow lurked in the back of her mind, questions about their neighbors' expectations, and what failure in this public display would mean. Every face she saw held varying degrees of skepticism or support, and behind the eyes that reflected hope were deeper judgments. Lily joined in, her ability to articulate the logistical details grounded their ideals in reality, weaving the thread of practicality into Sarah's idealism. Together they exhibited a dance of partnership, vulnerability transformed into a strength they had yet to fully understand. Yet, even as the atmosphere shifted, Sarah could sense an undercurrent of tension subtly brewing. Their neighbors were not merely listeners, they were potential adversaries and allies, their narratives running parallel, sometimes colliding. An elderly neighbor, a familiar figure from their childhood, finally spoke up as discussions swirled. His voice crackled with authority as he posed questions that struck at the heart of their ambitions. But what makes you think you can do this? Change takes more than just hope, you know. It was confrontational, direct. A dagger aimed at Sarah's bravado. As she opened her mouth to reply, a myriad of words tangled in her throat. Justifying their vision felt monumental. It was a moment that could either solidify or shatter their dreams in front of the same community that had once turned their backs on them. This was it. The pivotal moment for Sarah to discover not only the strength of her vision, but of her resolve. The future teetered on a knife's edge, and the question now loomed ominously. Would she be able to meet this challenge and emerge with her narrative intact? Or would her fears reveal weaknesses she had long hidden? In that charged atmosphere, beneath scrutinizing gazes, she realigned her stance, ready to confront not only the neighbors but the doubts gnawing within. The moment of truth was here, but the outcome remained uncertain. How she replied could very well determine their next steps. The stakes were now more than just personal. As she stood there, the question hung in the air like a storm cloud ready to unleash its fury. Sarah took in a deep breath, feeling the weight of the room's collective gaze on her. What could she say that would resonate, that would turn skepticism into belief? Change, she started, her voice steadier than before, is a journey, not a destination. We've faced hardships, yes, but every setback has taught us resilience. Each moment spent tending this land has bound us to it. There was an energy in her words, a fervor that was part recollection and part challenge. She could see scraps of intrigue and doubt flicker across the faces before her. Maybe she hadn't lost them entirely. Why should we trust you? Another neighbor challenged, crossing his arms tightly. This wasn't just curiosity. It felt like a challenge to Sarah's very being. Her heart squeezed painfully in her chest. But amidst the anxiety, a new realization bloomed. She wasn't just fighting for their vision. She was fighting for her identity. Because we know this farm isn't just soil and crops, she responded, her calmness transforming into conviction. It's our history, our future. A place where mistakes can lead to growth, not just for the land but for us as people. The room was quiet for a moment, as if time had paused to weigh her words. But beneath the silence was a cacophony of internal thoughts. She could practically feel the wheels turning. Lily caught her gaze, nodding subtly, a reminder that they were in this together. Sensing her partner's support infused Sarah with courage. It wasn't just her fight. They had built this dream side by side. Look, Sarah continued, her voice sharpening, I understand your doubts. I've had them too. But this fight isn't solely about us. It's about the land that has seen generations and holds stories, strength and hope. We invite you to be a part of this, but it will take all of us working together to turn things around. There was a hook, a way to frame collaboration. As her eyes scanned the room, she saw recognition pitting itself against disbelief. Some neighbors shifted uneasily, laughter forgotten, while others silently contemplated the invitation implicit in her call. The elderly neighbor's brows furrowed as he absorbed her words. What's your plan? He pressed, softening the criticism but sharpening the oversight. The questions were evolving, becoming curious rather than adversarial. The dialogue morphed, shifting from antagonism to engagement. Sarah felt her confidence build, fortified by the invigorating realization that she possessed the ability to articulate their strategy and inspire movement within the crowd. We plan to diversify our crops, implement sustainable practices, and engage with the community. It's time for new ideas that embrace both tradition and innovation. As she spoke, snippets of their plan surfaced in her mind. Seed banks, workshops, community involvement. They needed the local farmers' support to come aboard. This was not just about proving their worth. It was about drawing them into the fold of a newfound vision. The room, still charged, began to buzz with tentative curiosity. Sarah wasn't just defending an idea anymore. She was leading them through the fog of uncertainty, weighing the possibilities of not only survival but thriving together. The elderly man's face slowly softened. Well, if you're willing to put in the effort, we might as well hear a plan in full. Sarah relaxed only for a moment, Hope teetered, still fragile, but suddenly alight with potential. They hadn't won over the crowd completely, but the tide was shifting. The clench of doubt began to loosen just enough to let hope navigate through. Just as this opening stirred something deep within her, a sudden heaviness settled. A voice from the back startled her out of her moment of triumph. And what happens if you fail? The question was sharper now, laced with impatience. Sarah's heart dropped. There it was, the edge of the knife she had feared. The room quieted again, anticipation dense. The projected future leaned precariously on her answer. And suddenly it all felt insurmountable. Would she still flow with conviction, or fall into the depths of self-doubt beneath their scrutiny? It wasn't just a matter of what she would say next. The very core of her belief hung in the balance. How much courage could one person muster in the face of potential failure? With the entire space watching intently, Sarah summoned every ounce of strength she had left. Failure, she began, is often a part of success. But it won't dictate our actions, it will teach us. As she felt her words pierce the silence, the stakes climbed higher. Would her perspective resonate? Or would this moment define her as just another dreamer in a crowd of skeptics? The gathering storm of uncertainty remained, and all she could do now was confront it head-on. Would the next move reveal the resilience she had been safeguarding? With determination coursing through her veins, Sarah stood poised, commanding the collective energy in the room. It's easy to think failure is the enemy, but what if I told you it's merely a step on the path to something greater? We're all bound to stumble. The key is how we rise from those moments. Together we will figure it out. In that heartbeat, an unexpected clarity crystallized in her mind. The essence of her journey lay not just in launching a new venture, but in creating a community willing to stumble together. As murmurs of contemplation rippled through the crowd, Sarah felt the precarious balance of doubt and belief shift in her favor. Each face reflected a myriad of thoughts, some skeptical, some curious, but the air transitioned from denouncement to inquiry. The crucible of vulnerability they all stood in was redefining their shared experience. Lily leaned into the moment, adding, "We're ready to be transparent about our trials and learning. Our imperfections can be an asset. We're driven to foster resilience within ourselves and this community." Bolstered by Lily's support, Sarah expanded on a vision that was no longer merely hers, but one rooted in partnership. The sting of insecurities dulled as she engaged, highlighting the potential collaboration held for everyone involved. It was no longer them against the world. They were united in pursuit of something restorative and profound. That day, bravery blossomed into clarity. Sarah shared ideas about planting community gardens, workshops on sustainable practices, and the benefits of wellness programs that intertwined healing with agriculture. Each word encapsulated her desire to blend past traditions with future innovations, the very framework of their shared ambitions. Our farm represents both a legacy and a future for us all. Working together means weaving new stories into the fabric of our history. As she spoke, she locked eyes with the elderly neighbor who had stoked the fires of doubt. His brow softened, skepticism giving way to genuine interest. "And if you fall again?" he pressed, but his tone was no longer accusatory but curious. "Then we will learn," Sarah affirmed, her voice echoing confidence. "And we'll have you, our neighbors, our families, walking beside us. This isn't simply about our journey. It's about creating a destiny we can all share. We'll adapt, innovate, and grow. And when we stumble, we'll do so together." Gradually, faces transformed, frowns turned into contemplative nods, skepticism into intrigue. Sarah sensed the unity beginning to blossom. The confidence she sought and the divide she feared were slowly knitting together in a shared vision. Lily clasped her hand tightly, a physical affirmation of their rekindled partnership amidst the growing acceptance. "Let us show you what commitment looks like," she announced to the attentive crowd. The applause that followed was tentative at first, but rapidly swelled into applause filled with hope. The initial resistance felt like a vague shadow, receding under the bright light of possibility. As discussion sprawled throughout the barn, a communal energy surged, binding neighbors to the mission before them. And the weeks that followed, the narrative shifted. The community convened around the farm under the banner of shared purpose. Sarah and Lily, both equals in vision, began collaboration efforts that saw the planting of educational gardens and hosting health workshops that intertwined wellness with their farming practices. The roots of their sisterhood deepened as they balanced each other. Creativity met pragmatism, Ambition met experience. Sarah reveled in the familiar feeling of purpose igniting her spirit, every step reaffirming her commitment to the legacy they were rejuvenating together. The accomplishments were palpable as produce thrived and the farm pulsed with renewed life. So too did their bond flourish. They found common ground, transcending old rivalries, discovering the beauty of partnership. As summer's golden glow enveloped the fields, Sarah reflected on the transformation. No longer an imposter in her sister's shadow but a voice resonating with competence and authenticity, she had reclaimed her identity. Then came the day of the first harvest festival, an embodiment of shared dreams materializing. The barn brimmed with laughter, conversation, and patrons eager to celebrate the community's progress. Amidst the festivity, Sarah found herself holding a microphone, a testament to her journey. This is a new beginning, not just for us but for everyone that has stood beside us, she began, a radiant smile breaking free. Cheers of encouragement surged through the crowd as she continued, together, we are more than the sum of our parts. We are a testament to resilience, growth, and unity. Let us nurture these connections as we grow forward. Together, we've not only reclaimed the fields of our heritage, but the values of family and community. The applause erupted into a crescendo, carrying her towards what felt like a long-awaited fulfillment. Looking toward her sister, Sarah saw Lily's pride reflected in her eyes. They had conquered insecurities and rivalries, rewriting their narrative together. That day a new chapter unfolded, rooted firmly in their shared commitment to each other and the community. And now it is your turn. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive emotional stories that inspire transformation. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and ensure these stories reach more hearts. Comment your reactions and theories about this incredible conclusion to Sarah and Lily's journey. We are eager to hear your thoughts. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Don't wait even one more second to share this powerful message. True fans of personal overcoming stories understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions. Make your voice heard.